Welcome to the Pacific Saints podcast, where I share inspired messages from our leaders, Pacific area news and church updates for Latter-day Saints in the Pacific, and anyone else who'd like to join us. I'm so glad you're here. Hi friends, my name is Angel. Welcome back to the channel. So the topic today I wanted to talk about is the update for the BYU Medical School that was announced by the First Presidency back in July of 2024. At the time when this was announced, it really caught my attention for a number of reasons. The first being that I've been thinking a lot lately about our health, pondering about our bodies and the role that it plays in the plan of salvation. And so when I saw this announcement, it immediately interested me and caught my attention. The other thing that caught my attention when I read it was that there were a couple of things in there that stood out to me, and I just wanted to go over that now before we move on to the latest release. Two areas of the announcement that piqued my interest is this one. A major focus will be on the international health issues affecting members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Church's worldwide humanitarian efforts. I'm really interested to see what that looks like and how that's going to play out, because I think that would be fascinating. That's one of the focuses. That's a focus of the medical school, which is nothing like other medical schools. The second thing was that it says it is envisioned that unlike many medical schools, the BYU Medical School will be focused on teaching with research in areas of strategic importance to the church. In time, the school will draw students from within and outside the United States. I just find the whole thing interesting, and there's not enough detail to really get into what that all means, but it will be great to watch it all sort of play out over the next few years, I guess. I'll also mention that they are looking at collaborating in terms of clinical training, so they won't be creating their own hospital or hospital system. My thoughts were, and still are, that this is great. What does the Lord have planned for this? It's so different, and I'm just really excited about it. Then in September 2024, this was released by President C. Shane Reese, who is the president of BYU, and he addresses the clinical training aspect of the plans for the school. He says clinical training will happen in multiple off-site hospital locations. Conversations between Intermountain Health, the University of Utah, and others have been productive regarding the prospect of clinical collaborations. BYU's medical school will focus on teaching and training with research in areas of strategic importance to the church, including international health issues affecting members of the church, there it is again, and the church's worldwide humanitarian efforts. So he was reiterating what the First Presidency had announced. Significant energy is being devoted to developing and solidifying the plans related to BYU's new medical school, including the establishment of a medical advisory team. And then he says, Jesus healed the sick and served those in need. As disciples of Jesus Christ, we believe BYU's medical school is another way to lift God's children. I appreciate the enthusiasm and outpouring of support for this exciting endeavor. And all these sources, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but all these sources I will leave in the description box below if you want to go check them out. They're from Deseret News, this one is from BYU, and the next one is from, I think it's the Church News, I can't remember, but there'll be a link below. And now we come to the latest update, which was on the 11th of April 2025, and this is taken from, it is Deseret News because I have it in my notes, and it was an article written by Tad Walsh, and it highlights 5 goals the First Presidency set for the new School of Medicine. So let's have a wee look. Yes, the chief goal for this is from Dr. Mark Ott, who is the inaugural dean. The chief goal for the medical school is to support the mission of the church and BYU, Dr. Mark Ott said. during a presentation which was held on Monday at the annual International Society Conference at the Hinckley Centre on campus. So the quotes and things that I'll be referring to in the next little bit, the rest of the video, is actually from the interview with Dr. Ott. The first one is spiritually based and mission focused. BYU medical students will be taught that they need more than their human capacity to succeed, Ott said. The school will emphasise to students the importance of the covenants Latter-day Saints make with God through baptism and temple worship. The inaugural dean shared several experiences of ways he felt God was helping his team over the past 6 months. One related to the way medical schools are compressing what once was the first 2 years of lectures to somewhere between 1 year and 18 months. What would BYU do? So the rest of that interview, it says this. The working group addressing the issue struggled to reach a consensus, Ott said. He attended the temple the next day and was struck by the increased capacity and endurance promised to those who make one of the covenants there. He also recalled a Latter-day Saints scripture that states, "Doubt not, fear not," in Doctrine and Covenants 6:36. I knew if our students would honour their covenants that they would be able to do a 12 to 15-month curriculum, he said. Another committee member had the same experience and the committee moved ahead. I love that because it just it shows that the Lord is in control of this. It's his work, and he has gathered people that are listening to him and that are seeking his counsel on ways to roll this out and to have it work. And you just know that this is going to be something pretty special when it's all ready to go. Now, number 2, teaching and research emphasis. Teaching students takes precedence over faculty research at BYU, a decades-long practice restated again recently by church leaders and Reese. BYU does emphasise mentored research, with undergraduates conducting research under faculty supervision. Ott reiterated that teaching will be the primary responsibility of the School of Medicine, but he said a focus on research must be built into the curriculum, which I found really interesting, because I know that a lot of universities have that, like the faculty does tons and tons of research. It's a whole different thing, different sort of department. So it'll be interesting to see how they build that into the curriculum and how it all works. Okay, the integrated BS, BA to MD and clinical curriculum. He didn't share any details about the integrated bachelor's medical degree, but he did say that students will be able to enter the school in the traditional way of earning a bachelor's degree at another school and applying to BYU as a first-year medical student. Okay, the next goal was international outreach, enrollment, and alignment with church humanitarian efforts. Ott said the Advisory Council and working groups continue to hone the way the school will reach the goal of aligning with the church's humanitarian efforts. That research emphasises that the humanitarian emphasis is built into the curriculum, which I mentioned before, from the first day through the last day of the 4th year, he said. We want them to experience serving and understanding the needs of underserved populations and peoples throughout the world, and to be in those environments. That's very cool. That sort of, in my mind, I'm sort of envisioning these students coming out of school and going off into these places where the humanitarian efforts are really, really needed. So that's really exciting. And the last goal is reduced cost model. One of the efforts of the 15 working groups building the plans for the school is to fulfill a vision to create a shorter and less expensive model. The Lord's prophets would like to reduce the cost and shorten the time it takes to become a physician, Ott said. There's a big demand on both time and money, so the plan is to develop an integrated pathway that lets you go from a bachelor's degree into medical school in an accelerated fashion. Now, I know that the BYU pathways itself has been shortened and streamlined from a 4-year degree down to a 3-year degree, and it's the reduced cost there to be able to get a degree. And I'm sure I heard somewhere that they were kind of modelling this off of that, but don't quote me on that. But I know I heard it somewhere, but I can't remember where I heard it. But it makes sense. It makes perfect sense, because the Lord is trying to get people in to get educated, to get skilled, to go out and help the rest of his children, and he wants to do it in a streamlined way that is going to make it possible for so many more people to be able to do that. And just to finish off, I love this part where he talks about meeting with President Nelson, and I wanted to share it. Ott said that when he and his wife Stephanie met with the church's first presidency, there was a moment when President Nelson looked off in the distance. In the coming decades, President Nelson said, the power of the School of Medicine to take forward the mission and the work of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Lord is going to be far beyond anything that we can see here now. It was wonderful to be sitting in his presence and hearing a prophecy, Ott said, and knowing that the prophet of the Lord could see something that I could not see. It was an unforgettable moment, and I look forward to living another 20 or 30 years so I can see what he saw, because I know it will happen, and that is part of our mission. It reminds me of the talk from Sister Sherry Jew, where she talks about how prophets can see around corners, and gives quite a few experiences on that, and here is another example of that. So I just wanted to finish off this video with that, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, can you give it a thumbs up? I keep forgetting to sort of say that in my videos. I guess it helps the algorithm out. Anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.